Okay, so we want to go over the homework that you had for NOI and before tax cash flow. This is chapter 12, which is the property management chapter, and we want to make sure that you guys are good with calculating property management fees, calculating net operating income, calculating before tax cash flow. Number one says, what's the 10% property management fee for a commercial property that generates a gross potential income of $15,850 monthly, with vacancy and collection losses that total 7% of the gross potential? So with these questions, you always want to write down your formula first. You're going to want to write the formula down, and you're going to want to give yourself plenty of room to work. And you can sort of give yourself room. You can do it down the middle of the page. You can do it down the left. I'm going to set it up down the left. Gross potential income, that's where we always start our formula, minus any vacancy or losses that we have, and that equals gross effective income. And then gross effective income minus any operating expenses that we have would equal net operating income, and that minus any debt service or mortgage payments would equal before tax cash flow. So I kind of want to keep these things separated, and so one of the things you can do to do that is just simply draw lines, kind of keep everything blocked out so that you keep them all together and don't jumble them up. And then maybe I want to make myself a place to do notes and then a place to do math. So something like that. All right, so let's go back to the question. It says, what's the 10% annual property management fee for a commercial property? We'll stop right there. We know that 10% is the property management fee. 10%. And so I'm going to put that on the operating expense line because it is an operating expense. The management fee is an operating expense. So we got a 10% annual property management fee for a commercial property that generates a gross potential income of $15,850 per month. So that's going to be times 12, because everything in this formula must be annualized. Anytime you see the word monthly, you've got to take it out to annual. And they have vacancy and collection losses that total 7% of the gross potential. So I'm just going to put a note there. If you notice, I've not done any work. I've not done any math yet. The math comes next. That's what that right column is for over there, is to do my work. And the other thing I want to do is make sure I circle what my destination here. Here they want to know what this 10% property management fee is. That's their goal. That's our goal. So let's do the math. 15,000, starting on the gross potential income line, $15,850 times 12 equals $190,200. And that's our GPI. Okay? $190,200. And then they won't subtract our vacancy. Well, they told us our vacancy was 7%, and it's always 7% of the gross potential. So times 7% is $13,314 in vacancy. And if you go back to the formula, we know that's minus. That's a minus over here. So minus $13,314 in vacancy. And that gives us equals $176,886. And that is our gross effective income. Now, we know that the property management fee is 10% of the gross effective income, because it's always based on the gross effective income. So 10% of this number right here is going to give us our property management fee. And so that would be an operating expense. So that would be minus on this line, $17,688.60 would be our property management fee. And since that's what they want for an answer, that is our answer. $17,688.60 is our annual property management fee for that property, because it is 10% of the gross effective income of $176,866. Okay, and of course we don't need the rest of the formula because we didn't have to go any further, but fill it in anyway because you don't know where you need to go. Now, number 2 wants us to calculate a net operating income. So as soon as I see that, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to write down my formula. And it always starts at gross potential income. And then that's minus any vacancy we might have. And gross potential income minus vacancy equals gross effective income. Gross effective income minus any operating expenses is going to equal our net operating income. And then net operating income minus any debt service or mortgage payments, the monthly principal and interest payments on that loan, equals our before tax cash flow. So again, just kind of draw yourself some lines to keep these things separated here. And then make them into columns. Again, if you want to, you can do that. So we're going to have a place for our notes and a place for our math. Alright, so let's do some notes first. Calculate the net operating income. We'll stop right there because the first thing we need to do is figure out where we're headed, and we're going to NOI. So this is our answer right here. So somehow highlight that line, circle that line. That's where we want to be. Okay? 70 units of rent for $1,000 monthly. So we're just taking notes here now. That's going to go on our gross potential income line. We've got 70 units times $1,000, and that's monthly, so times 12. We've got 15 units times $1,200 a month times 12. And we also have 2 units times $1,500 a month times 12. So that's all of our notes on it. We've taken care of A, B, and C right there. We also have 12% vacancy and collection losses. So we're just going to put 12% here on this line. Okay? We're done with that. E, property management fee of 10% of the gross effective income. So it's 10%. Oops, I'm putting it on the wrong line. It's very easy to do that. It's very easy to put the property management fee on the wrong line because it's an operating expense. We know we calculate it based on the gross effective income. So 10% management fee on my operating expense line here. We've got annual property taxes of $43,500. So that's going to go as an operating expense. Taxes. Other annual operating expenses that total $142,000. So we'll put that on our operating expense line as well. And that's just other. So we know that our operating expenses total everything in this box. So we're going to have to total all of that up to bring it over here as our operating expenses for the property. Just like we're going to have to total everything in this box and bring it over here for our gross potential income. So let's work on, oh, and we got one more thing up there we haven't filled in yet. Monthly mortgage payment or debt service of $7,800. So debt service comes down here, and that's $7,800 times 12 because that's monthly. And again, that number is going to get brought over here. So now we're finally ready to do our math. We're finally ready to bring everything over. So let's look at gross potential income. We've got gross potential income of 70 times 1,000 times 12. That's $840,000, but that we're not done because that's just on those units. So we've got plus 15 units times $1,200 a month times 12 months is $216,000, plus 2 units times $1,500 a month times 12 equals $36,000. So if we add all that together, we get a gross potential income of $1,092,000. $1,092,000. That's our gross potential income. Now the next step in the formula is to subtract the vacancy, and we know that the vacancy is 12% of the number we just calculated, that gross potential income. So 1,092,000 times 12%, that is 131,040 in vacancy, and we know that's minus because everything on this line is a minus. And if we do that minus, we get $960,960 for gross effective income, because the gross potential minus the vacancy equals gross effective. Now we're ready to deal with our operating expenses. Okay, so our operating expenses, we got a 10% property management fee. Well, that's 10% of the gross effective income. So for operating expenses, and I'm just going to kind of total these up, we got $96,096 for the management fee. Plus we've got $43,500 in taxes, and plus we've got $142,000 in other operating expenses. So that's going to give us together what our operating expenses are, and we know they're a minus, we subtract them. So what does that total up to? We've got plus $43,500 plus $142,000. We've got a total operating expenses of $281,596. And we know that our operating expenses are a subtraction from our gross effective income. So the gross effective income of $960,960 minus the $281,596 gives us an NOI, net operating income, of $679,364. And we know that's where we want to stop because we already highlighted it in the beginning of the question, so we don't go any further than that. That's our answer, $679,364. If you notice, this debt service payment did not come into the picture because debt service is below net operating income in the formula, so we didn't need it for this question. Okay, so $679,364 is your net operating income. And then finally, number 3, it says a commercial development rents office condos and has 90 such units that each rent for the same monthly rate. The property has the following characteristics, and they give us a bunch of characteristics. But I'm going to look at the question. Based on the above information, which of the following is the most likely monthly rental rate for each unit? So this is a little bit different way than you've been asked the question before. What I'm going to teach you here is how to use the way they've structured the question against them. They've given you 4 possible answer choices. What we can do is plug them in and see which one gives us the before tax cash flow that's right here. We can see which one works. We can see which one works for us based on the answer choices they have given. That's going to be easier than trying to reverse engineer this thing. So we got the same formula we've used in every other question, And now we're just going to look at it in a little bit different light. We're going to say that we're going to write it down, gross potential income minus any vacancy equals gross effective income minus any operating expenses equals net operating income minus any debt service, mortgage payment equals before tax cash flow. And just like we did previously, we're going to draw a line so we keep everything nice and separate. Okay? We'll have a place to make notes, we'll have a place to do math. And if you have to use 2 sheets of paper, that's fine. Whatever you need to use. Don't try to squunch this in on a test question. Make sure you got plenty of room to groove here. So let's fill in what we know. Monthly debt service payments of $13,250. So let's deal with that. Monthly debt service of $13,250. So we come right down here to debt. We put $13,250 times 12 because it's monthly and we want to convert it away from monthly. We need annually. Annual before tax cash flow of $175,600. So $175,600 is our before tax cash flow. So again, we just come down here. $175,600. Okay. Property management fee of $78,000 annually. Well, that's a operating expense. So $78,000 goes here in our operating expense line for the management fee. Go with that now. Other annual operating expenses of $365,000. So we're going to come back down to the operating expenses and put $365,000. Done with that. And then 10% vacancy losses. So vacancy here is going to be 10%. So now we've filled in all the information. What we want to do is start to try their numbers one at a time. So we'll start with $800. Start with $800. So here's the information that $800 would tell me. That would go in the gross potential income line, and it would be 800 times, go back and look how many units, 90 units for the same monthly rate. So 800 times 90 units times 12. And if I did that, that would give me a gross potential income of $864,000 minus 10% vacancy would be minus $86,400. And if we do that math, that gives us a gross effective income of $777,600 minus these management fees, so minus $78,000 minus $365,000. And if we could total those up, $78,000 plus $365,000. So my total management fees, or total operating expenses rather, are $443,000. So we come back, and that's a minus, of course. So $777,600 minus $443,000 gives us an NOI of $334,600. We know our debt service is $13,250 a month, so $13,250 times 12 is $159,000, and that's a minus, of course. So our NOI of $334,600 minus our debt service payment of $159,000. Cannot type. $334,600 minus $159,000. and that gives us a before-tax cash flow of $175,600, and we were just really lucky to guess correctly on the first one we tried. But you could plug each one of those in, and only one of them is going to give you that before-tax cash flow. So that number is correct. It matches. That means 800 is our correct answer on that question. Because if you had plugged in any other number, you would not have matched up. And that's the best way to handle a question like that. Okay? So I hope you did okay on these. If you struggle with them, go back and watch the video again. You're always going to be doing the same exact things with these questions. You're going to be putting your whole formula out, and then lining everything up, getting your information together, and going from there.